It's an exclusive first look at the Hyundai flagship SUV, the Palisade. And we're doing exactly the same with Kia's global flagship, the Telluride. Staying with SUVs, it's the updated Tata Harrier back home, and we have that review for you as well. The Hyundai Palisade is the Korean car maker's first full-size 3-row SUV ever. In the past, the Santa Fe XL or long wheelbase was Hyundai's biggest 3-row SUV, but this is bigger. It's almost 5 meters long and has been designed primarily for buyers who want 3-row 7 or 8-seater SUVs for family use to take on cars like the Ford Explorer, Toyota Highlander, and this, the Kia Telluride. The Telluride is Kia's first ever full-sizer too, and has also been done keeping the same market segment in mind. And like the Palisade, it is also named after a town in the American state of Colorado. It is 5 meters in length and so a tad longer than the Palisade. The two cars come from sister companies and so yes, are very similar. Now both of these SUVs share the same platform and they were created so that each of their respective brands can enter a brand new segment for the very first time with a very clear eye on the US market. Now there's been a lot of speculation about whether Kia or Hyundai should consider bringing them both or at least one of them to the Indian market as that big SUV flagship, big being the operative word. And if that is the case, which brand should take the leap? Well, that is my reason for driving both these cars and driving them back to back. There's been much said about each one of these, and so I won't bore you. Suffice to say that besides platform, the two share the same drivetrain too. The 285 bhp making 3.8-litre V6 GDI petrol engine is common to both cars, and in the exact same state of tune too. Both therefore have 355 Nm of peak torque, and yes, both cars use the same 8-speed auto gearbox too. This drivetrain is standard here in the United States, but in some other markets the Palisade also gets a slightly smaller displacement V6 petrol and a 2.2-litre common rail diesel option. It is that diesel that interests me, but let's leave that for another day. The two may be similar underneath the surface, but boy oh boy, are they different to look at. The Palisade aims to be luxurious and so is well built, well finished, and carries the largest iteration of Hyundai's Cascade grille. The slim lights treatment is similar to the Santa Fe, Creta, Kona and Venue, but the daytime running lights slicing through the headlamp cluster and into the bumper, well, that's different. Some of this face is what has in fact inspired the new gen Creta's styling, no doubt. The sides and rear are simple, but yes, the tail lights are quite distinct too. If the Palisade is meant to appeal to the suave, the Telluride is all about butch muscle. The car is more square, is a tad bigger, and emphasizes its unique styling through some specific elements. The vertically rectangular headlamp with an orange DRL is very cool and very unique. The tiger nose grille is wide and the car gets a nice wedge-shaped D-pillar as the rear angles down, almost Range Rover-like. The tailgate is also wide and the tail lights, again, very character-defining. I feel the Palisade's looks are a bit much and the car's metal surfaces make it look bulbous. It's also a little bit too blingy. The Telluride, on the other hand, wins the styling sweepstakes for me for being like nothing else and also being very handsome. A car you will not forget in a hurry, but looks are purely subjective anyway. Inside the cabin, both cars are very well finished, and here's where the Palisade will definitely win your heart. It is more luxurious looking and feeling. Quilted leather seats and door panels, sleeker surfaces, and even a button stack instead of a gear lever for the transmission make it a very roomy and airy feeling cabin. The car also gets a 12.3-inch screen for its digital instrument cluster. On lower variants, that becomes an 8-inch screen with dials on the sides. In the central console, it has the same 10.25-inch touchscreen as the Tellurides. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and BlueLink embedded SIM connectivity are also on offer. Both cars have a smaller 8-inch screen in lower variants. The Palisade's cabin is roomy, and even the third row gets USB charging points. Optional equipment like the sunroof and electrically folding third row seats are pretty cool. The car's cabin is right up there with, dare I say it, Mercedes-Benz. On the Telluride, the fit and feel are also premium. The design is very obviously more solid and simplistic to keep with the car's rugged pickup truck feel. In terms of equipment, you get almost everything that the Palisade offers, but there is only a much smaller 7-inch screen in the instruments, and you don't get power folding third row seats. All of the connectivity with UVO Connect embedded SIM are of course on offer. Seat ventilation, head-up display, and multi-zone climate control are available on both cars too. Neither car has a hybrid variant though. I drove both cars and will begin with the Kia Telluride. This is one car I had been itching to drive given its meteoric rise in popularity in the US, especially amongst media. It has bagged most of the key North American car awards for 2020 and is also a top 3 finalist for the 2020 World Car Awards, a first ever achievement by any Korean car. The Telluride will coast along and, while smooth, has a slightly leisurely build-up of speed. It lacks any urgency at first, but take the engine past 4800 or 5000 RPM and a beast awakens. And how! The gearbox is quick and responsive, though shifting down can be a touch slow in highly dynamic situations. It gets comfort, eco, sport, and smart drive modes. The last one is like auto, and it automatically keeps the car in either eco, comfort, or sport depending on driving conditions and driver inputs. While there's an immediate sense of body roll on the Telluride, one thing I will say in its favor is that you don't get a sense of that bulk or the weight that this vehicle is pulling. It is fairly smooth and easy to drive, and then when you put it into sport mode and the steering stiffens up a bit, it also handles quite nicely. Of course, like I said, at higher speeds and of course on twistier roads, that body roll does creep in. But ride quality on the Telluride is great. The car feels ample and comfortable in all conditions. On the Palisade, things are similar yet different. The engine has the same leisurely feel. Both cars get the same brakes, but on the Palisade they feel sharper. The same is true for its steering. The driver's seat in the Palisade feels more commanding too and gives you that higher riding SUV feel. It also gets multiple drive modes, but in addition to the ones from the Kia, the all-wheel drive Palisade also gets a snow mode for low traction driving surfaces. The ride quality is just as good, but then there is the handling difference. Now mechanically the two cars are very similar, but there's a different setup to the rear suspension on the Palisade, and I have to say it does improve handling tremendously. In fact, overall, the feel that you get on the Palisade is more plush, it's more refined. I have to say that in performance terms, the Palisade is just a notch higher than the Telluride, and the ride quality is also pretty exceptional. Both cars have an optional self-leveling rear suspension, but that's only on the top-end all-wheel drive. Lucky for me that both cars with me are in their top spec. So while both the Telluride and Palisade are very similar, the Hyundai just feels that extra bit refined and sharper in the drive dynamics department. In the US, both cars start at just around $32,000 and top off at about $46,000. Both have optional all-wheel drive and a ton of standard and optional equipment, as you saw. And of course, needless to say, both also have the 3 rows and massive cargo space. So, which one wins? Well, it's close, very close. But the great thing is that despite being the same car on so many levels, the two have wildly different character and appeal. And so, while the Telluride is way sexier, the Palisade is the better car overall, both for its drivability and its luxury offering. But I still believe there's a very strong case for both cars to come to India anyway. The Palisade, though, may have the stronger case here, but only just.
The Harrier was one of Tata Motors' SUV which pumped in some life into the compact SUV segment in the country and brought in with it a new design language. Of course, the consumers lapped it up. Well, sales did take off initially, but numbers dropped eventually with new players entering the market and the fact that Tata didn't have many options on offer. There was just the diesel manual.
So a year back when the Tata Harrier was launched and people went to showrooms looking for an automatic variant, they had to turn to other brands. Well, Tata always had a plan to bring in an automatic Harrier, just that it took some time coming. Finally, we have the car with us here, and for all it's worth, it's here with a BS6 engine now. We are going to drive it, but before that, let's have a look at what all has changed, what all the updates are, as there are quite a few.
The Tata Harrier sticks to its original Impact 2.0 design, but this time around it looks fresh, and that's probably because of this new dual-tone Calypso red paint with gloss black roof. In fact, the entire body color range has been updated. There are now 5 colors to choose from. If you think it lacks chrome elements, well, you also can choose for the optional chrome inserts around the headlamps and the DRLs along with the grille. The 17-inch diamond cut alloy wheels add to this chance, while the redesigned wing mirrors finished in gloss black and a chrome strip highlighting the wheelbase are a nice touch. At the rear, changes are limited to the chrome finish on the exhaust tips. The cabin too is a familiar space, seeing no changes in the layout or fit and finish. But there are new features. The top of the line XZA Plus trim gets a panoramic sunroof, and then there's the 6-way power adjustable driver's seat along with auto dimming rearview mirror. Then as always, there's the 8.8-inch touchscreen system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's a climate control and a 9-speaker JBL sound system as well. There's still no connected car tech on it though. We have seen it on the Nexon EV from the company, so we feel it's certainly a big miss. Under the hood, there's still the Fiat Source 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, which is now BS6 compliant. At 168 brake horsepower, it belts out about 30 brake horsepower more, while the torque remains the same at 350 Newton meters. There's a brand new 6-speed automatic transmission sourced from Hyundai, and that will be our main focus for this drive.
The 6-speed automatic gearbox, the way it delivers the power is actually a bit friskier when you will compare it to the manual transmission. We were driving the manual transmission just while before, and there is just a bit of hesitation when you'll kick down. It will take almost microsecond to respond, and then it will take off. Power buildup is right up to 3800 rpm, so it offers a good mid-range.
There's ample torque at the low end too, kicking in at just below 1800 rpm, while the top end too has improved marginally with that slight upsurge in power output. It's still not fond of being revved hard. We also got the opportunity to drive the manual transmission, and the shifts felt smoother compared to the BS4 models. But it's the driving modes that need some explaining.
So the driving modes, the difference between them, it's most perceptible in the Harrier among all the Tata cars we have driven. So when you're driving in city mode, the revs won't build up higher, and that's something you like to do in city, you like to cruise. But as soon as you switch to sports, you feel the aggression building up, RPMs going right to the red line, and that gives you a reassurance while you are overtaking or even while you are being a little aggressive with your throttle inputs.
The Harrier impresses with its supple ride quality. The suspension soaks up bumps quite well. It's a big car and there's a hint of body roll when cornering at high speeds, but still it's not unnerving. That said, it could do with better steering feedback. It adequately weighs up at higher speeds. There's torque steer when the torque kicks in and you feel the front wheels losing control there. But there are enough electronics on board to keep you safe. Standard features include traction control, rollover mitigation, electronic stability program, and corner stability control among others. But the brakes feel spongy and we hoped it had a better bite to it. While ABS with EBD and dual airbags remain standard, in higher variants you also get 6 airbags, ISOFIX child seat anchorage, terrain response modes, off-road ABS and more. The Tata Harrier Automatic is available in 3 variants, XMA, XZA and the range-topping XZA Plus. Prices for the Harrier start at 13,69,000 rupees for the manual and 16,25,000 rupees for the automatic, topping out at 20,25,000 rupees. It's around 2,71,000 rupees more expensive than the Kia Seltos diesel automatic, while undercutting the Jeep Compass diesel automatic by a good 5,71,000 rupees. It even fares up closely against the MG Hector petrol automatic, which is just 31,000 rupees cheaper than the Harrier. That said, the Hector diesel, which also gets the same Fiat source 2-litre engine, still doesn't get any automatic transmission in the offer, and yes, that's something we see coming as well.